Recently, I saw an old classmate of mine that used to be considered the school bully during middle school. He was homecoming king, he was on all the sports teams that mattered, and he dated the hottest girl in the school. The reason he got away with what he got away with was because even though he was very douchey, his charisma shined through, which made him well liked by his teachers, but hated by the nerds he would push into lockers. Anyways, I saw him recently, and I want to say he failed. That after all those years of being on top and picking on the weak, that he would fall off once high school was over. That he became a bum like at the end of those Disney movies, and all the kids that he would bully would say haha to his face. But that's not the case. He turned out to be Donald Trump. Imagine getting picked on for years and years by your school bully. The only reason you go to school is because you know this guy's gonna fall because he's gonna peak in high school. Just for him to turn into the president? I know Trump isn't doing too well right now, but he's had a good run. He spent the majority of his life at the top. He's had his imprint on every aspect of American society. And there's a reason for this. There's a very specific circumstance that made Trump so successful. You might be saying it's because he got a small loan of $1 million, which obviously helps, but there's something about him. His natural hunger to get what he wants, to step over others to get his way, that made millions of Americans want to vote for him despite all the controversy. As a Disney movie archetype, Trump is 100% the villain in every musical, and that's because of his innate dickheadry and ability to step over other people to get what he wants and not regret it afterwards. And in Disney movies, guys like this will fail. They will lose the girl, they will lose Homecoming King, all that. But that's only in the movies. Only in the movies is where we get a happy ending where bad guys reap the consequences of their actions. Only in the movies are where the loser nerds that got picked on actually steal the girl from the bully. After the interaction I had with Donald Trump in our joint prison cell, I googled all the kids he bullied back in the day to see what they're up to, and most of them just fell off the earth completely. And I wish it was different. I wish these guys used the bullying they faced to beat Donald Trump at his own game, but they didn't, because they just didn't have what Trump had. And I wish it was different. I wish it was. But I guess that was never the way things were supposed to go. You see, I don't like the way bullying is portrayed in movies. It's always the intelligent, hyper-nerdy main character that's a prodigy and is super good at school getting picked on by a dumb jock that's twice his size. But that's not what happens in reality, or at least my reality. You see, no genius in my school was ever getting picked on. They were respected for their academic prowess because they brought value to the system they participated in. The kids that actually got picked on were the ones that provided no value at all. They weren't smart, they didn't know how to socialize, they were unfortunate looking, and so these kids slowly became social outcasts. They were weird, but they weren't weird enough that they got diagnosed with something definitive like autism, because if their weirdness was diagnosed, it would be socially outrageous to bully them. And so in a time period like middle school, where people are just starting to become aware of their place in the world and are vulnerable as a result of that, if you're bullied extensively and that's all you know, you'll fall deeper and deeper into the void of resentment until it's impossible to get out. At a certain point, you'll ask yourself if what is happening to you is the fault of the bullies that are bullying you, or yourself for being born the way you are. Because if you were normal, you wouldn't get bullied and the teachers would like you. And so what I realized about the vulnerable weirdos that were messed with at an early age, people that are unable to make eye contact with others as a result, people that find it hard to find acceptance within themselves, people that are unable to grow past the torment they faced, what I realized is these people are actually incredibly difficult not to bully. I'm not even kidding. I saw this one kid Naruto run to his next class and Donald Trump shoved him into the locker, and I wanted to do the same thing because One Piece is better. It's so like you could do it and everyone would laugh and it would feel really nice. And I know bullying is bad. I know it's terrible, but it's right there. They're making it so easy. And I know this sounds awful, but think about it like this. Children are innocent. They haven't experienced the world yet. They don't understand the difference between right and wrong yet. They go based on what feels good and what feels bad. Eating vegetables feels bad, even though it's good for you. Eating chocolate feels good, even though it's bad for you. Making fun of a fat kid feels amazing. The power you feel over another person when you make them cry is kinda nice. It's wrong, it's awful, I know that, but it feels nice. And it's easy because you don't have to think too hard about the joke because the kid is fat and all your friends are laughing. And so the social validation is also amazing. That's why kids like that, the weirdos, that's why they get bullied, because they're easy targets and they won't fight back. The fat kid you make fun of will 100% remember that for the rest of his life, and that humiliating memory will haunt them at random 3 a.m. nights throughout their lifetime. But in the moment, the consequences of your actions don't matter because it feels good calling a fat kid fat. And this leads to the question, When does someone deserve to be bullied? People on the internet, under the guise of anonymity, will say in order to fix society, we need to bring back bullying so that weakness is eradicated. People in reality would save face for brownie points and say no one deserves to be bullied and everyone should be nice to each other. But none of these are wholeheartedly true, right? If you're in a room full of people with normal noses and you have a big Jewish nose, you're gonna get bullied because your big Jewish nose is taking up all the space. If you fail a test when all your friends pass the test, you're gonna get bullied because you failed where others succeeded. If you have no arms or no legs because you're physically disabled in a room full of people that have the normal amount of arms and legs because they aren't physically disabled, you're gonna be treated with kindness and compassion because you're strong and brave and amazing. So I guess the truth is that naturally speaking, whether we do it intentionally or not, in group settings, the people that are deemed weak by the majority are the ones that predominantly get bullied. That's why physically disabled people never get bullied, because they're brave and strong. And everyone is tested for weakness or behaviors that would make them easy to bully. Weaker-willed people in general let people mess with them more, and once bullies realize they're an easy target, it's free reign from there. Even the bullies are tested by other bullies to see if they're easy targets as well. It's a part of the way we interact with each other as humans, to jockey who's weak and who's strong, and who can participate and who can dominate. These tests stem from little things like the way you handle conflicts, the way you take a joke, the way you clap back at a joke, the way you make a joke too. I know I use Trump as an example for the bully, but I think a lot of the times it's kind of the opposite. Journalists and people that don't like him come into interactions with Donald Trump in a very hostile way. They're trying to gotcha moment him, and the reason they get pissed off is because he never folds. He almost always says the right thing, and even when he says the wrong thing, he's still cunning enough that it's not a complete L. They can't bully Trump into submission. He always leaves with something. Now, don't get me wrong, he's still got that dickhead energy to him. He's not altruistic by any means, but he knows how to not get picked on. This is actually what separates Donald Trump from other bullies, because Trump is able to back up his antics by going against stronger opponents and winning. The bullies I grew up with only picked on people that were weaker than them, because those are the only people they could control. The bullies themselves were plagued with insecurities, undealt traumas, lack of attention, and they just found someone weaker than themselves to take it out on. It was never the strongest or the most respected people that were the bullies, rather it was the kids that were the henchmen to the real alphas that were picking on the nerds. I know this because I was like this before. I preyed on the weak, not knowing that I was weak myself. I can't lie, it felt good when I called that fat kid fat. It did. But even then, I knew I didn't earn the laughs I got from those jokes, because calling someone fat isn't that clever. You see, Donald Trump might have started off by picking on the weak nerds that can't defend themselves, but unlike most bullies, he realized that you can't grow as a person picking on the weak your whole life. And so even though he could have been the big fish in the little pond and it would have worked out for him, he decided to become David in his fight against Goliath instead, as he went after the real hard hitters of the world. He bullied the Mexicans, the liberals, the Muslims, the gays. He went after what society considered the unbullyable, the people that have so much social backing that it's unforgivable to attack them. And he won. And like Trump, I want to be strong, and in order to be strong, I need to bully the strong. And so I decided that I'm only going to go after the strongest of the strong, the bravest of the bravest, the most amazing of the amazing. And there's only one group of people I can think of that fits all these categories. For far too long have this group of people been at the top, protecting themselves from being bullied because of their immense way of life and strength. And me, I'm sick of that. And so in my next video, I'll be striking the king in the head. I'll be bullying the unbullyable. I'll be declaring war on the mentally and physically disabled.